Blade Talk with Scab and Joe.
The American experiment requires us all to push the boundaries.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Blade Talk with Scab and Joe. Sit back, relax. We got a pretty good show here.
Please don't forget our U.S. veterans. Growing awareness for veteran suicide. Hashtag 22 a day no more. Veterans, you always have a place here. There is a number in the description of all of my videos for some good folk that can help you if you are in despair. Hello, everybody. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. I don't know where you're seeing us from, what part of the world you're in, and that's the beauty of YouTube. We're all over the place. So my face is all over the place. Not a good thing, but it's all over the place right now. So welcome to Blade Talk with Scab and Joe for another episode. We're so excited to bring you our next guest. Especially I am, because I like to get my sword peeps into the room and into the mainstream here, because we're always talking about knives, which I love, but we got to get into the swords. As you can see here, I have the Excalibur. And if you don't know what the Excalibur sword is, then you really need to crawl from under that rock that you're living in, because this is the rendition of the very popular Excalibur of King Arthur fame. So we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about a lot of swords, a lot of incredible brands that Cas Iberia sells. So before we go any further, guys, as it said in the intro, we support and grow awareness for our U.S. veterans. What we're simply saying is, veterans, you have a place on our channels and on Blade Talk. Sit back, relax, and you're always welcome here. And without further ado, let's bring the boys into the room and let's get Blade Talk kicking. And welcome, Patrick, and welcome, Skip. Hello, gentlemen.
Good evening. Good evening. Patrick, thank you for coming back with us again.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
Hey, man, listen, last time we had a great conversation. This time, I'm sure we will. But what I would like for you to do, quick backdrop on who you are, what you do. But I also want you to throw in on this time, throw in a little bit where your passion for swords, blades, all that began. Do that for me.
Sure. Of course, I'm Patrick, aka Pat the Sword Guy from Cas Iberia. I started in the industry in the fall of 1999. I was with Cas through 2005, and then I went over to Frost Cutlery for about 10 years. And in the fall of 2015, I came back to Cas. So I've been around the industry a long time. I've seen it from the high end and the low end. I've seen it from different aspects of manufacturing and distribution. I've worked with Ace Hardware, True Value, Bass Pro, host from hardware to sporting goods. So I've been in and out of the industry at different points, working with many different people. My current role at Cas is I'm product marketing manager, which basically means nothing, because I do everything. I do a little bit of product development, ads, social media, things of that nature. But mostly over the last couple of years, I've really focused on product development and things of that nature. To answer your other question, where my passion started for knives and swords, very much when I was a kid. I think I was probably 6 or 7 years old. My great-grandmother gave me a pocket knife, which probably nowadays, it's probably crazy to think to give a kid at that age a pocket knife, but it was, she was old school. She was in her 30s during the Depression, and pocket knives growing up for me was, just like taking your wallet and your keys. But it was, I'll still remember it. It was just a little lock back knife, and I carried it everywhere I went and carried a knife all my life until somebody came along and said, you can't do that anymore. But I remember, and I still own my first 2 knives I ever bought with my own money. They were little cheap survival knives that I bought at a flea market. And I found them in a box the other day. I've always kept them. So, yeah, It was one was green and black. It was real cheesy, just real cheesy. Stainless steel blade, and the other was kind of desert camo.
Yeah.
So, but I still got them. I love them. Swords and knives have kept me clothed and fed, and my children clothed and fed for over 2 decades. So I'm definitely a product of the industry, if that helps.
Well, I appreciate that. I tell you the truth, and I'll have to dig it out over the next couple of weeks. I've got, and I found it the other day digging through my cedar chest. I've got one of those old survival knives, one of the old 1980s. Now, it wasn't, my first one was the one with a little compass, the green and all that. But this one was like the next generation, where it was all grayed out. It's all stainless steel.
But what do you think? What do you mean by survival knife? Like the Rambo survival knife?
The hollow handle.
Oh, the Rambo ones. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we've all had those.
Yeah.
I had play ones. I didn't have real ones. I had play ones.
Yeah, I've used all the stuff in it, but I still got the knife.
Yeah.
Well, hell, I lost the cap to mine, so but I've still got it, and it was like you remember it was like the next version,
and
I still got that. That's awesome. I think everybody has that bond.
I think I was looking around, and I thought just because I was reorganizing my room the other day, and I was putting all my stuff in a box, and I found it. I'm like,
I used to open up the cap of that survival knife, and I used to put chiclets in there.
Nice.
I used to put candy. I used to hide my candy in the freaking survival knife, and they used to carry it around with me. Oh man, yeah, the survival knives. Those things are fun.
Oh, good job. So you can put whatever. Joe, take this thing. I want you to get your sword time in.
Sword time. Well, yeah, this is all about sword time right now. Now, Patrick, you're saying product development. So, which is awesome because that's exactly what we need. We need a good product developer that's going to improve the long line of products that you have there and put new concepts in and listen to critique, listen to customers and what they want and what they need. Now, if you guys have seen my channel, and I'm sure many other channels, they have a Dragon King came out with a modern line, Katana, Waki, and Tanto, and I titled it the Holy Trinity, so of swords. So it's kind of like a modern rendition of the Katana, the Waki, and the Tanto, modern versions of it, and they're immensely popular. People love them. They're really great swords. They're really great, fun to use swords, low maintenance type of thing. And I know a lot of people have been making a lot of requests as far as some updates or some changes to be made on that line. So Patrick, I'll leave it up to you to tell us what your overwhelming request for that line to change or to add to is.
Yeah, no problem. Well, the modern series, as you call it, the Holy Trinity.
This is the Tanto, guys.
It was, yeah, that's great. Yeah, it was kind of it was an unexpected success. To be honest with you, initially, and I don't know if I talked about this last time, if I told y'all this story last time, just pretend I never did. But initially, that line started out with the Tanto. The first piece of it was a Tanto, and I said to Frenchie Jen, Chris and I were talking, and I said we can't just do just a Tanto. It needs a katana to go with it, and so we went back to Frenchie and said, okay, if you want to make this Tanto, that's fine, but I want a matching katana because the katana is really what's going to kick it off. And he said, okay. And we came up with some specs, and then we put out the Tanto and the katana, and I thought he was going to just do okay. It's like, oh, another black katana, just another black sword. They flew off the shelf. Both of them flew off the shelf. And then everybody's like, well, when are you going to do a Wakizashi? I'm like, okay, Frenchie, we got to do a Wakizashi. So Frenchie's like, all right, I'll do a Wakizashi. Now the Wakizashi's off to the races. So
yeah,
but it's done very well. And as you said, we try to listen to the market and what they're, because there's social media is a lot. People come at you from all different directions and different motivations and wanting different things. But I try to hear what people are saying consistently, in the market. Believe it or not, we do try to pay attention. But
let me get a walkie in front of me while you talk.
Sure. So one of the things people were asking for consistently was, when are you going to do it with he or bohe, with the groove down the blade? And so we went back to Frenchie and we said, there's been some requests for this with he. So hope the first, and it's kind of funny because it's inverted. The first two that hit the market were the katana and the tanto, and the wakizashi came last. So at the end of October, you were getting in the version, the wakizashi with he, and the katana and the tanto will come probably after the first of next year. So you're going to get the Dragons Modern series with he starting this October.
He is right. That's the he. That's the bohe, guys. That's the groove that you see. Notice it's missing on the walkie and the katana. So now they're going to add that to this, and it's going to be even more badass. And you're going to have the switching sound, the kamikaze. It's going to be good to train with. It's going to be good for a lot of things, and it's going to lighten it up. I mean, do you think that you're going to lighten it up too much? I mean, Frenchie's the pro with this stuff. Is he going to add a little more meat to the blade? Do you think it's going to be too light, depending on the size of the bohe that you add? Because it is light already.
Yeah. It's I got it spec'd out. It's on the website. If you want to go and look, there's photos there. They are swishy. I will tell you that from swinging them around in the photo room. They sing. No doubt about it.
That's awesome. Patrick, can you, for the people who don't know, can you tell us who Frenchie is and why he's so damn important to Cas Iberia?
Well, Frenchie Jen, if I knew you were going to ask this question, I had a great photo sitting on my desk. I would have sent you. Frenchie Jen was the right-hand man of Paul Chen from, Hanwei fame. And probably, I don't know, it's been well over a decade now. Frenchie went off on his own to do other things. He's an engineer. And what Frenchie did at Hanwei was, Paul was the ideas guy, and he envisioned what was next. Frenchie was the guy who actually made it happen. He worked with Krista and, our general manager, which I forget what her title was at the time, but they were the two that got together. And Frenchie was the one who actually figured out how to produce what Paul was dreaming up. Paul had, some, input and things like that. But Frenchie was the guy who actually got with the factory people and got it done. So he went off and did his own thing for a while, doing some different stuff. And that's about 2014, 2015, when I came back on the scene. He wanted to come back into the sword business because that was really his passion. There's a lot of things people do in life to make a living, but swords was, designing swords and knives was his passion. So he came up, he got his own factory in Dalian, basically right across town from Hanwei. And he just started up his own forge. And thus Dragon King is here today.
It's history, and that's history from there.
And
this is a request that Eric and a couple of other people were asking, but since Eric just asked it, I'll put it up on screen. No, actually, that's not that. Oh, he says, well, there goes another stack. He's like, he got the whole trio, and he's got to get 3 more. Hold on. Actually, it is right here. He says, honestly, the Hirazukuri makes the blade fragile. That's got to be for serious cutters. Need Shinogi Zakuri's version for beginners. There's another request. Never ends. You can't make everybody happy, Patrick.
Yeah, I can't make everybody happy all the time.
That's the problem. But in the future, if there's any other renditions, I think a cool Shinogi Zakuri, like that kind of in between geometric, I think would fall into the category that a lot of people can kind of really get into. Because I understand what he's saying is Hirazukuri is a very thin geometric, and it can be easy to get like to take a set, especially because it's differentially hard, and unless you have really good edge alignment, it's possible to take a set. So that shinogi might be a little in between stage there.
Yeah, we between you and Matt, I'm always trying to figure out, what the next thing is. Sorry, I was trying to respond to somebody in the chat.
Yeah, I know. Me too. I'm just probably
blade geometry is really tricky, and man, it's just like the whole with he and without he thing. There's going to be some people that are going to be like, oh, I wish y'all had not have done that.
Yeah.
With somebody's going to be upset that we changed it from shishi dogs to dragons. So now they're going to want the dragons without he.
Yeah.
So there's just no pleasing people when it comes sometimes.
Yeah.
And they request certain blade geometries all the time. I'm like, well, have you thought about doing this?
Yeah.
Well, I think about a lot of things. We talk about a lot of things.
Right.
But at the end of the day is, what are people going to buy? What is the most amount of people in the market? What do those people want first?
Right.
And that's where we have to make the decisions, because we can't do we're not set up for short runs. If we're going to do something, we're going to do 100 to 200 units of it. It's a commitment of man, time, power, and resources. Yeah. So,
well, I'm willing to do like an open sword forum thing where I'll try to get a lot of prominent people in the sword industry, in the YouTube chats, in the creators, users, practitioners, and I'm curious if I can get enough of them all together and put enough of them into the room, into the chat as guests. Maybe we could do like a sword forum, and then we could see basically what people want, what people are asking for, and then we can kind of bring it to light. And then you could hear from a couple different people, not to say that you got to go make changes after that, but at least what the majority of people are asking for. So you can kind of make plans in the background for the future, for future renditions,
Yeah. We've got our own plans for sure, but we always try to respond to what the market wants or what they're telling us. Right. And, another thing, and like today, we were posting about the new great sword coming out from Kingston Arms, coming out this October.
Is that
the guy was asking,
Is that on the site yet?
Yeah, it's on the site. It's under new.
Okay.
A guy was asking me, why are you doing 1566 instead of 5160? And which it's a legit question. But the question was implying was why, like there was some grand thought between one or the other. And it all boiled down to, well, they're both spring steels, and what we ultimately got down to, they're both spring steels. And I was trying to explain to him in the process, when we go to production, we have to see what steels are available. Is 5160 available to produce 200 units or 100 units or whatever it is that we're making at the time? So if one or the other is more available, then we may go, if the one is available that's preferable, then we will go with it. But we also have to look at cost. If a certain steel is not available, or if it's or at that particular time they're buying it, it's too high, it knocks our target price out of the market, then we may pivot to another. So it's not just like one factor that we go through and deciding, but it was like it almost maybe it was just a Tuesday, but I was like, there's a lot of concern about one spring steel versus the other. And I was like, I'm trying to be somewhat open-minded and saying, okay, this is a legitimate question, but when we talk about manufacturing something, there's a whole lot of factors that go in deciding which direction we're going.
Right.
And,
is this the sword you're talking about? The great sword?
That's it.
Ooh, I like
Batman pajama.
That thing is crazy. Wait, let me actually try to get it more on screen. Yeah, there it goes. That
That's
thing is
dope.
nuts. That thing is
Yeah,
cool. Let me see the dimensions on that. Hold on. It's 39.5-inch blade, right? 39.5-inch blade.
Hmm.
56 inches overall. I mean, that's huge. That's a big sword, man.
Now, as far as great swords go, that one's kind of on. It's within the parameters, but there were historically some longer ones.
yeah,
But in order to keep shipping costs, reasonable for people, we kind of went on like the lower end of the great sword length. I mean, we could make it longer, but it'd be outrageous to ship, and it's already got to ship to you disassembled.
Does it
So
really?
yeah,
Wow.
it's not that big of a deal. All you got to do is slide the guard on, slide the fat part of the handle on, then screw down
Right
the
here.
pommel.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Okay.
mean, otherwise it would cost you just about half the cost of the product to ship it if we shipped it to you assembled. It's the same thing with the lowlander sword from Hanwei. We can't ship it to you assembled. It would be ridiculously expensive.
yeah.
Do you sell from your storefront?
Huh?
Do you sell out of a store like where Cas Iberia is?
No,
right? Okay.
No.
Okay. So everything is shipped. Everything's got to be shipped.
Everything's got to be shipped.
Okay.
But yeah, that's my crowning piece for Kingston Arms this year.
Yeah, that thing's sweet, man.
It's crazy.
You might see one in your mailbox later.
I do. I really do.
Scab, you'll definitely demolish a couple of pumpkins with that thing.
Several. I'll demolish a lot with that. That thing's badass, man. I love the look. I love the aesthetic. I think when it comes to a sword, for me, I like either having a hand and a half or a double. I just do. And that thing fits the bill. What are y'all doing?
Yeah, it's gorgeous. We've never had we've had like claymores and things like that, but this is really this is our first great sword. So,
Yeah.
with the flangettes and all that.
That thing's badass.
What else do we got that's new? Let's see.
Fun at parties.
What else you want me to show? That's a highlight.
Yeah, my other crowning jewel for this year for Kingston Arms was the new rapiers, the new rapier series.
Bone grip.
Now that brings up another thing I wanted to talk about tonight. Rapiers. It's been hard to get rapiers in the sword market, so we have gone back to Hanwei and we've resurrected several of the Renaissance rapiers from Hanwei to come out again. So the pricing is what you would expect. Some of them are a little bit more expensive than what's on the market. Some of them are equally or lesser priced, but we've resurrected several of them. That one right there, the 1092, that one it's gorgeous. That's real bone.
That's bone. Yeah.
That's real bone.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's coming. A lot of them are coming at the end of October. So we had a few come in July, but not really enough to make a splash. But yeah, our rapier selection from Hanwei has been revived. So if you're in the mood for dueling for your honor, you can now do so with a new Hanwei rapier. But the Kingston
Arms,
pretty
big sword too, 45 inches. That's a nice 36-inch blade. That's a sizable weapon there, man.
Yeah, it's for keeping your distance.
Yeah. Where is the practical rapier? No, you're not. Is it in the new section, the new rapiers?
No, the practical rapiers we kept. It's the Taza, the Solingen, and the Gustav.
So this is the new one from Hanwei.
Yeah, these are all Hanwei pieces.
That's pretty.
Yeah, it's incredibly detailed.
Yeah, the pictures sometimes don't do it justice. You know what I notice that sometimes if I'm looking at a something from your site, but when you finally get it, it's just holding it and seeing my little details are pretty. It's a big difference.
Yeah, I mean a lot of that stuff is just so ornate. And it was when the factory burned up in 2011. To retool all that stuff was outrageously expensive. and the product at the time to retool it would have cost basically doubled the price of the products overnight to retool it. So so over time, as the market, the price of them and the rapiers in the market has increased, it's now kind of justifies bringing those back. Yeah, that's the Torino, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Torino.
Yeah, the sad part is I remember when all these were new.
Yeah.
Back in the mid 2000s, I still have a lot of the prototypes.
Mm-hmm.
So
guys, a couple of people had asked, and I've been getting the question here and there because, listen, I show a lot of Asian weaponry, the katana, the wakis, Japanese style, but the European weapons are very, very popular. And there are some companies out there that do an incredible job doing them, but they're very expensive. And sometimes when you spend, when you spend $2, $3, $4 grand on a sword, you don't really want to use it. So it's not really a sword that you want to use. Like, I don't know if you can give Scab a $3,000 sword if he's going to want to really use it. It's going to be a little tough to use it, but I'm sure you will.
Oh, no, it won't be tough for me.
No, for you.
Be tough at all.
Myself swinging that around, man.
It'd be tough for Patrick to watch, but it wouldn't be tough for me.
So
it is. When they're used, it's not tough when they're used within the parameters from which they're designed.
Right.
When I see them becoming tree, swords turned into axes, that's when I flinch.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you the truth, Patrick. I don't know if you have anything like it, but I've been watching Sharp's rifles here lately on YouTube, and I can't think of the style he uses. It might be a cutlass. Are you familiar with that show?
No, you'll have to shoot me a link. I'll take a look at it. No, but I tell you what I did get a good laugh out of was somebody sitting down about to eat some Jimmy John's and kept pulling out this endless list of knives to cut their sandwich with.
Oh yeah. Now I'll take it in with me and cut a sandwich with it.
This is my dream company right here. This is within Cas Iberia. This is my dream company. Citadel is probably I would say probably your highest end katana, right? Citadel, that you guys provide.
Yeah.
So speaking of $3,000 swords, yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's just a beautiful freaking beast there. But okay, so European swords. Yes, Stefan Klaus, you are European, my friend. Thank you for joining us. I know it's about 2, 3 in the morning over there and you're losing sleep. So we'll try to make it worth your while, my friend. Thanks for coming in. Thanks to everybody for coming in, by the way. Eric, Hussein, everybody was commenting. If you have any questions, try to post them again. I'll try to take a look at it. Now, if someone had asked me, like I said, European swords, what brands basically can come in for under 1,000? Give me a brand and let me look something up. And I'll show people basically what you guys offer in terms of European models of swords. Kingston Arms. All right, so here it is, guys. So you got your arming swords, you got your Scottish claymores, you got pretty much, and again, Patrick knows too. Listen, the prices you're seeing on Cas Iberia, you don't need to buy it from Cas Iberia. There are other manufacturers and other vendors that sell their products for cheaper. So you don't have to be buying them here. So if you're seeing this for this price, it's most definitely going to be cheaper for whoever else is supplying Kingston Arms swords, just so you guys know. So if we just kind of pick a sword, let me see what Scab would like over here. What do you think Scab would like from Kingston Arms, Patrick?
I think he would like the cutlass, the A-trim cutlass.
This cutlass?
Yeah, because he was talking earlier, and I was thinking, man, he probably could. That one, he could go to town with.
I like that one a lot. I think that's the kind that Sharp uses, honestly. That or the American Revolution one, but I like that a lot.
Yeah, this was a Gus trim design. It's not based off anything historical, but I mean, it fits all the parameters. You know what I'm saying? You know, in the sword industry, we kind of get hung up on, is it historical? Is it something that pre-existed in history? Which, when firearms came along, swords kind of became obsolete, and the evolution of swords kind of roughly ended. But what I like about this particular sword, it is within the realm. It could have existed. Who's to say it didn't?
Yeah, why not?
But Gus Trim being an American sword maker, I really like it. And Gus and I are working on several other things right now. Hopefully that will get out into the market next year.
4-inch POB is pretty damn good. That's a balanced sword for a 4-inch point of balance. Handle is about 4 1/4. 25-inch blade, 31 inches overall. A good solid 9260. Spring thickness at the guard is 6 millimeters. It's got nice meat behind the edges, game. I think that's a good sword.
I've been kind of waiting. I'm going to mention this one. It's not. I've not posted. I've kind of had it hidden in some of our social media posts. But we do have we have a shell guard cutlass coming out next year from Kingston Arms, which is kind of a replica of Blackbeard's.
Okay.
So hopefully it'll be out sometime after the first of next year. I was hoping it was going to make it on this next shipment, but it's obviously it's not going to make it. So, but yeah, we got some cutlasses coming out in Kingston Arms next year, and that one what got me thinking about it was because you were talking about the point of balance. Man, this thing's like butter in your hands.
Yeah,
I mean they nailed it. The point of balance is just sitting right there on the guard. Maybe about 2 inches off of it, but to me, the way I hold it, it's just perfect. So.
Claymore got Scab. The Claymore,
gorgeous.
The Claymore is your sword, man. Look at this one.
Yeah, that one I'm particularly proud of.
55 inches, 40-inch blade, 13-inch handle, 4 pounds.
Yeah, there you go.
That's a nice sword.
I'll take one of all of them.
I'll see what I can find.
That's nice. I like this one. This is a big sword.
I like the two-handed, and it suits me for what we're doing in the yard and playing around. And like I was telling you before we went on, Patrick, that gross messer from Cold Steel, it's heavier. Like Eric Hussein and Joe and all these guys that cut, I have an immense amount of respect for. And they certainly need to drift to more of a thinner. But for me, I'm going to swing hard. I'm going to miss. And I don't do it on purpose, but at the same time, I want something a little beefier that'll hold up and just have some fun with, honestly.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, that Claymore is definitely fun. Barry and I had a good time designing it. It was my one kudo I got out of him. We were talking about pommel designs, and I'm like, I think we need, and I was just telling him we need to do a flat disc because the Hanwei version is kind of like an older Claymore design where it has kind of a more round, bulbous type of pommel. And I wanted to do something a little earlier, something a little lighter, with a flat, kind of more like a flat disc kind of a design. Yeah. So something a little bit more functional than, just something to bash stuff with. Right. So we settle on this design slightly, if you put the Hanwei one and the Kingston Arms one side by side, they both have their pros and cons. But for the most part, I prefer the Kingston Arms version because it's lighter, it's more functional. Now you can probably be a little bit more destructive with the Hanwei version, but I'm going for agility, and I just don't like to be. It's like with the machete. I don't want to be worn. I don't want the thing to wear me out while using it.
Yeah. Makes sense. No, it makes perfect sense. We were talking last week, I believe it was. And the truth is, Patrick, and you can attest to this. Get some of the heavier stuff that's like a basher and a crasher, but then when you go to something that let's just say for the top, for instance.
Scab, is that your phone?
Something that's a little lighter and a little more manageable. There's a difference there. Not just weight, not just feel, but it almost feels like it's more part of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I like the term basher and smasher. That's a lot of things that are in the industry that you can find very easy. And where we wanted to separate, Kingston Arms, from that group was the more, I don't want to say light, but the more agile pieces. We wanted to be functional. Because like I said, I hate using anything that's where it's like a bad machete, that just wears you out. It's great, it's doing the job, but man, you're like a dozen swings into it and you're already worn out.
Yeah.
So, and I like to apply that somewhat to my sword design philosophy.
And well, that makes sense. And the vast majority of people who buy your swords, they don't want a basher and a crasher. They want something more weapony. Let's call it that, where it is more functional, more agile, more, that's what that is.
Yeah, the Kingston Arms line for sure for European swords is definitely more refined in a lot of ways, and probably I would say if Frenchie would have been with the company longer, I would say some of the Hanwei pieces would have probably been more refined now through that process. Some of these would be where some of the Hanwei should be today, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, it does. Now, would you say the Hanwei pieces are a little bit more of the bashes and crashes?
No. Some of them, when you're comparing like the claymores, I would say that with the claymore, because it's a little bit more, it's heavier, it's more robust. Whereas the Kingston Arms one is more, it's lighter, it's longer, so the weight is distributed very differently. So you're comparing apples to apples, but when it comes to use, I'm going to go with the Kingston Arm ones every time, unless I'm trying to take down a door or something, then I might switch over to the Hanwei one. But
yeah. I think this legacy arm sword is pretty tough. I mean, I have yet to do a review on it, guys, but I did do some water bottle cuts. This is a nice blade. I mean, there's some weight to it, but not too much weight. It's got some nice balance, great handle. It's a cutter, man. I mean, this thing came surprisingly sharp to me. I did not expect it to come as sharp, and it's a double-edged weapon, obviously, but it came actually surprisingly sharp. And this is a really good cutting sword. This is not just a wall hanger or something that looks nice. Oh, it's the Excalibur magical sword. Yeah, that's where it's portrayed against. But in essence, as being a weapon or a sword, it is a good freaking sword. So far.
Now, Joe, was that the one in 1095?
This is, I believe, 1566.
Well,
you got me out myself.
Let me see.
What was the sword you did it was 1095?
It was a European sword.
Yeah, it was the fantasy stuff.
The Conan sword, the Conan father sword.
Yeah.
That's 5160.
Okay.
91. Okay.
5160.
5160. That was the Conan father sword.
Yeah.
Which is another freaking crazy beast. Yeah, that thing's a beast. But this is a real functioning sword. That's the thing. Like, you see a lot of these swords. You see this Paul Chen, this Hanwei, the Viking swords. A lot of them are portrayed over some historical type of items, but they're actual weapons that work. They're weapons that you can cut with and that you can use. I mean, that's the beauty of it.
Well, Joe, I'm not going to be offended that you were surprised that I sent you a sharp sword. So
I didn't expect it to be. You know this, guys. I've had other European swords I've had my hands on, and normally European swords don't come close to the sharpness that you get from an Asian weapon. That's just the way it is. So for me to see the sharpness level of the double-edged weapon to be as it was, I was kind of surprised. I didn't think it was going to be dull, but I didn't think it was going to be like paper slicing sharp as it is, that's actually pretty surprising. So it's very welcome. Don't get me wrong, but I was very surprised.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Legacy Arms brand this year has gotten revived. We had to switch manufacturers. We were only getting like one shipment a year, and we said we couldn't keep a viable brand, so we switched factories, and I'm very pleased with the results. We were able to increase the quality of the swords without increasing the price.
Right.
So that was a win-win, I think, for the market.
I
will say that
I like this one a lot.
you're going to see some models go away, and we
Uh-huh.
probably won't bring them back again. But for the most part, most of the best sellers and things like that will remain in the line. But overall, you're going to see a lot of things over the next couple of years come out for Legacy Arms, and it's going to be good, I think, for the sword market, because Legacy Arms kind of is where historical and fantasy kind of meet.
Right.
And that's where you got
Somewhere in
things
the
like
middle.
Excalibur.
Uh-huh.
It's a fantasy. It's really a fantasy sword, but it has some historical roots. And yeah, there's people I get every time I post anything on social media about it, they think that we're trying to replicate the one from the movies from the 1980s. Like, no, it's not exactly what we're trying to do here, but it's not a licensed piece or anything like that. But we are trying to kind of meet you halfway between historical and fantasy.
Right.
So, and again, you can't make everybody happy.
Here's your gladius, Stefan. You wanted your I did no, I'm not Viking sword. He wanted a Viking sword, so here it is, Stefan. Yeah, they have. I like the two Viking swords that Legacy Arms provides. They're pretty cool.
That's a Roman.
Oh, is it a Roman? Wait.
Gladius.
Oh, it is a Roman. It is a Gladius. I was right. It was a Gladius. I'm thinking something else. Yeah, the Gladius sword. I like the Gladius that you guys that they offer Legacy. Is that like a wood handle?
That is real wood.
Oh, that's nice.
Yep.
That's really nice. This is what I wanted to show you, Scab. I think this is cool too.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Absolutely gorgeous.
I like
Yeah,
that.
the mains is the more ornate one. The mains.
Oh yeah, the other one. Yeah. Let me.
Yeah, they did a really good job on that one. Roman swords are kind of weird. If you know anything about reenactors for Roman stuff, they don't do a whole lot of cutting. Right. Most people who do Roman reenactment, they put on their uniform and they march. That's kind of like the thing in Europe. When you're not going to see a whole lot of sword, Roman, sword fighting. You're going to see a bunch of guys dressed up as legionnaires and marching around Europe. But hey, they need a sword when we're here to provide.
They got to have that. It's a gorgeous sword. And I mean, a lot of what you've shown, I wanted to ask you too, Patrick, because we've mentioned it a couple times, the historical part. And it kind of dawned on me when you were explaining about Excalibur. I've just kind of gotten to a point with certain things, it's not worth trying to explain because they're not going to get it. You know what I'm saying? No matter how many videos you do, no matter how many shorts you do, no matter how many times you say it, somebody ain't going to get it. So do you find yourself going, look, we're going to put the best looking sword out there, period, whether it's historical or not? Or do you say, well, we need to keep some historically accurate? And how do you do that?
Well, as far as sometimes we're actually trying to replicate a historical piece. Now, obviously, we'll talk about, as I talked about the Claymore, they're a lot of these swords develop over time, even like, like I said, the Kingston Arms version of the Claymore is kind of an earlier design, longer, lighter, whereas the Hanwei one's a little older, a little heavier. So it all depends on where you're trying to hit it. You know, we're right now we got a couple of Viking pieces that are in development, and you know, people think about Viking stuff. They probably don't realize that, you know, Viking swords are kind of clunky. You know, they're kind of big and audacious, and they're not really they're really
The
not
handle's a little
refined.
like tight.
Yeah, yeah, they're just kind of unwieldy in a lot of ways. If you're depending on what, and people get them and they really don't know what to expect.
Yeah,
I think a lot of times because the market, you know, a lot of times is uneducated, and you know, I like the looks of Viking swords. I can't stand to use some of them because you know how.
Right here, this is the Hanwei Tinker, the 9th century one. Viking sword, yeah.
You know, for me, that sword, when I grip it, the guard, because of, you know, if you're trying to be historical, they were tiny, you know, and that guard just eats into you know, my hand when I wield it.
Yeah.
So it's going to get me like right there. So, you know, we have to answer Scab's question, we have to figure out, you know, how historically accurate are we going to make this, or are we going to make it slightly modified so people can actually, if they want to use it. Because there's a fine line between replicating something and, you know, actually producing something that, you know, people can use.
Yeah, I would love to see a modern modified Viking sword. Change up the handle, change up the pommel a little bit. I think that would be pretty cool.
I mean, you got that in APOC with the you know, with the Wasteland Gladius, because that, you know, that wasp kind of shape is a later design, you know, in the swords. So, but yeah, you know, I hope I answered your question, Scab. You know, there's a lot of things that we have to consider, you know. If we're trying to replicate a historical piece as is, then we will try to do it as is, historically as a company. But when it comes to things that people will actually use, then we got to adjust, you know, because we do have to accommodate people who are shorter, you know, they weren't as big, you know, and most of the swords in antiquity that you find, you know, that are intact were, you know, from rich people that never saw combat, you know, they were in collections and things of that nature. Most of the swords that were used on the battlefield were broken.
Yeah. Well, the reason I'm asking, I have one, and now this is obviously from cold steel. I think it's the 1797 Cavalry, whatever.
Yeah.
Dude, you can barely get your hand in that sumbitch.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, when you see it, you see all that, you're like, well, that'd be cool. And it's got the hatchet, you know, style where it gets wider as it goes up. Cool, like it. This again, a basher and a crasher. But man, it wears my hand out. It's like I got one of their Scottish basket hills. So that I was kind of asking, you know, do you find yourself sometimes going, okay, we want it to be historically, there's a difference in historically accurate and looking historical.
Yeah.
I would rather something for me, for what I do, look historical, but be a little more modern where you got more grip. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Back in the olden days when cold steel was on the rise, people would ask us, you know, well, you know, how do your swords compare? And if I've said this before, just forget that I told you. What I would tell people is I would say, look, if you were a time traveler and you were going to the past, you should take a cast sword with you.
Yeah.
But if you're going to the future and you're going to go fight the machines, you need to take a cold steel with you.
Well, that's where the basher and crasher comes in.
Yeah.
That's what they are, you know. And it's not to bring in another brand, and I want to get off of this, but the point there was simply, it gets a little frustrating when you buy something and you go, okay, this is going to be great. and you can barely get your hand in it, or you go to cut a few times and you know what I'm saying? So I was just kind of more wondering how you balance that out. And it looks like you got some sick designs, and I like the one. I love that cutlass you were showing. That's got a little modern flair, but you still see that old kind of almost like a Buccaneer style.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just fun. I mean, let's just be honest. You wouldn't be doing this channel. You know, everybody that's watching would not be watching if what we were doing was not fun. I tell people for years, I don't sell swords. I sell fantasy. You buy a katana from Cas. Yeah, you might think you're buying it for, just in case or whatever, for personal use. But the fantasy that I'm really selling you is you got it. So you might be able to do something you think you need to do with it later. You know, it's a fun thought to have. Hey, I've got this sword. I might have to pull this out on some fool trying to break into my house. Yeah. When a gun would probably do a whole lot better. But hey, let's indulge our fantasy here, right?
I got both by my bed just in case. But I mean, to reinforce that, I'm sitting in a bone throne, for God's sakes.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? So what we do, but what is that? Now, see, I enjoyed you sent me some of the APOC stuff. I enjoyed the APOC stuff. I really did. I really, really did. In fact, I've got the little single axe here that tested well, and I was just messing with it right before we came on. I did a full video through it, did all that, and it's still got a hell of an edge on it.
Yeah.
Just that little single bit axe. It's held up really well. This thing, I was really, really impressed. For a little camp hatchet, something like that. I think sometimes we get folks buying this stuff thinking they're going to go, less Stroud for a month. And it's like, this you could actually take camping with you.
Yeah,
this
that's what it's designed for.
And it did well. It held up well.
Yeah. And that one, I have to give credit where credit was due. Blake Pogue, who was with the company, the Hunter, which is the one that you got, and then the Double Muck were kind of his babies. Now the Double Muck is a great little. It's actually got two different blade geometries on it. Yep. One is convex, and the other is flat ground.
Yep.
It's what we call duo. We've tried to call it duo grind. So depending on what you're trying to do, and if you buy it, it's got a little piece of paper with it tells you which edge, to use with what.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Did I send you one of those?
You did, and I'll tell you what else it does. I got a video out on it. It throws unbelievably well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it really does. And here's the thing, Patrick, with things like this, right? When you get something. And you look at it, and you look at it from our side, from a YouTube side, reviewer side, whatever. When you honestly look at it, like with this one, it's a great little camp hatchet. That one, I loved. I loved throwing it. I actually took the handle scales off of it, and it's a designated thrower. That one, if it had another inch on the handle, would be perfect.
Yeah, right now. I'm not really looking to develop anymore on the axe side. Man, I've got some stuff coming that I know it's going to be perfect for you, Scab, and I've just been chomping at the bit. And I'm hoping the factory is supposed to be done with. I've got like a handful of pieces coming out for APOC that as soon as I get some, they're headed your way. They're supposed to be done sometime the mid to late October. But as soon as they hit the dock, I've got a package inbound for you that I really want you to put through the ringer. And
upgrades to these or different models altogether?
Totally different knives.
Different
totally
knives.
different. It's actually. I'm going to leak a little bit of info here. We got two collaborations going on. with APOC. Well, actually 3, but 2 are actually coming to market. And if you were at Blade Show for the last 2 years, you've probably seen it. So if you didn't come to the Blade Show, then you didn't get to see the revised versions this year. We had them out at the show. We got 2 major collaborations that'll be dropping this year. Hopefully by the end of the year, definitely first of the year, that we're very excited about. And I am anxious to see some videos of Scab going to town with these bad mamma jammas.
Well, we can do it.
That's
we
awesome.
can do. How, Patrick? Let me ask you this: whether it's swords or knives or axes or whatever, you talk about these things coming to market. Do you have a set number each year that you're going to release, or per quarter that you're going to release? Or because I know you've got such a just an inventory to draw from. How do you go, okay, this is new coming out, this is, you know what I'm saying, because you've got a large catalog.
Well, my approach is I look for holes.
Okay.
I mean, I look, when Kingston Arms came out, it was very HEMA oriented, and it still is very HEMA more oriented, historical European martial arts oriented. We're still going in that direction, but there were some things that we needed in the line that we needed to have to plug holes in the genres, like a claymore. And we needed rapiers. And one of the things that's coming out next year with the Kingston Arms rapiers, we're going to have fencing blades, blunted fencing blades that you don't have to necessarily buy the whole new sword. You just got to buy the blade because the guard and then the handle and the grip should all fit. But to answer your question, first I look at holes, and then I try to find out, what is the market need? What is the need in the market right now? I know one of the things and I've talked about it, one of the things the market really needs is some better Iaido. I know I'm kind of shifting back to the Japanese, and I've got some designs for some new Iaido that I'm going to be bringing out through Dragon King. But it's kind of on the back burner right now because I need Frenchie focused on bringing out some other stuff. He's, he like everybody else in manufacturing, there's only so much capacity. And to also answer your question, it's also about capacity. How much stuff can we put out at one time? There is not a fixed number. Now, I will say, if you look at everything that was deemed new this year on the website, they were in development at some point last year. And my board is just about empty. So I've got to get some new Legacy Arms products in the pipeline. I've got about 3 to 6 that I know I want to do next. Now, some of them are old designs. Some of them I want to revamp to fix some points of balance issues, some things of that nature. I really want to do a Flamberger style blade. If you don't know what that is, that means it's kind of wavy. That's something I've been wanting to do for the last 10 years. I want to do that in Legacy Arms. If I can make it happen, when you see the Flamberger blade, you'll know that's something that I wanted for the brand. Because we used to have one back in the day, and it's gone away, and I want to bring it back again. What else? I think I may have answered your question. A lot of times you have to know what the market demands. And that's what
you have. And the truth is too, again, with all the different brands, I'm amazed at how well you can coordinate. Hey, I need this for this. I need this for this. That you did answer. And then the capacity. That was the other part of the question I was going to ask.
Yeah, we do have a limited capacity. It's very hard for Hanwei to do anything new right now because they, ever since we are. I mean, we have caught up quite a bit on our back order situation with Hanwei, but even still, right now, they are still behind on certain models that are almost perpetually on back order. We did catch up on the L6 and the Bayonet, the Bayonet blades. We did
good.
get those caught up, but now they're starting to disappear again. Everybody's like, oh, they're available, and everybody's buying them. And now I'd say we're going to be out of L6 either by the end of the year or shortly after the first of the year. So I think we got some coming. But, one thing that we do other things as well. We try to do some OEM stuff for some other people that kind of eats into our. But now I can't tell you who those people are, but there's things that's always going on. That takes away from capacity. But then the major issue, and I kind of mentioned this before, is availability of steel. Especially for like Hanwei and Dragon King, there's only certain things that they can get at certain times of the year. It seems there are certain steels that they have problems getting, and
all year round. Yeah,
it's just tough. So, and like I mentioned earlier, the guys, why did you use this particular steel? Well, it's probably what they could get readily that would fit the criteria. Yeah, if we could have got it in 5160, I'm sure we could have. Right. We would have, but 1566 was available in the amount that we needed to do the production run, so that's what we went with. So. Right.
Patrick, I had quite a few people, because a lot of still to this point, one of my really watched videos is anything I put out with the Hanwei Practical XL. Mm-hmm. And everyone always asks me, like, when can we buy it? It's always out of stock, or I don't know where to find it. And there's actually a big third-party market going on for that sword. People selling it for like stupid prices because it's really hard to get. Do you have any information, let's just say, that we can put out there in terms of the practical line?
I'm just going to be honest with you. The Practical XL, the Practical XL Plus are always going to be something that's going to be hard to get.
Okay.
It's just one of those products that it's always in demand. We never make enough. I don't even know if I started out the year with 1,000 that we would ever have enough.
Right.
Maybe. I don't know. We are always in the need for it. I tell you what my answer is going to be. And next year, I'm hoping it comes to fruition. I'm going to have the Dragon King response to the XL.
Nice. I like that.
And that is something
with the same wide blade, the whole 9 yards.
It's going to be comparable. It's going to be apples to apples.
I want a robust, something that's going to be as a Hellfire, like a Hellfire sword, like this Practical is. If Dragon King can match it up, that's going to kill. Patrick, believe me, that will absolutely kill.
No, it's in development.
Oh, that is an amazing idea. I love that idea. For Dragon King to take the helm, that's awesome.
No, and again, it goes back to Scab's question. How do I know what to pick?
Yeah,
holes.
Yeah,
there's a hole in the market for it. Because Hanwei, I mean, God bless them, they work hard. But the problem with Hanwei is there's so many swords that they got to make.
Yeah.
And when they set up for production, it's like, okay, we're going to make this many, and then we got to switch. We got to set up for production this. And by the time, the XLs and all that stuff gets back around, well, we're already back ordered, double digits. And then when that shipment comes in, it's already, it's a never ending cycle. So I think for the market, Dragon King can fill that niche for an XL blade. And that's what I got Frenchie working on right now. On the Japanese
I love
side.
I love it. I am going to be first in line, because that's
considering he designed that XL too. So
yes, he designed it. Exactly, he designed it.
He was one of the principal designers of the XL.
Yeah, you remember the XL Scab? That's the one I brought to Florida.
Yeah, I like that one a lot.
That's
That
the
was
one
a
I brought
good
to Florida.
fiber.
We were chopping down the freaking swamp with it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that one. That was more something that I would be interested in there. The wider, I like
Yeah.
that. They did a great job with that.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm actually very excited about that one. I'm very proud of the Suba design as well,
Cool.
which I can't tell you yet.
All right. So I'm sorry. Did you give us an estimated time frame, or no? Or do you have
I'm
one
hoping
yet?
I'm hoping sometime after the first of the year.
Oh, okay. That's not too far away.
I'm hoping to have a prototype by the end of the year or the first of the year.
Okay.
But we will have a katana by spring or summer is my goal.
Awesome. I love it. I love it.
And again, I haven't seen anything yet, but Frenchie will move fast on he moves faster on katana than he does on the medieval stuff.
Because
I think it's because it's his passion more than anything. He likes a challenge, but he's very passionate.
Okay. All right. That's awesome. Differentially tempered or
spoiler? Oh no. It'll be a forged blade.
It'll be a forged blade. Okay.
Differentially tempered blade.
Okay.
Nice.
All right. I love that.
What do you want? Do you want through tempered? Now speak now, forever hold your peace.
Guys, all right. Eric is out there. I got some sword people in the room. If Dragon King is going to make a new rendition of the Hanwei Practical XL, and just so you know, the Practical XL was differentially hardened 1566 blade. Would you want Dragon King to match up to another forged blade, or would you want a through hardened blade? I hate having it on my head, but I know I think a lot of people would probably want a through something that's just ultra tough that can take would be able to bend back and something like that. But the problem with that is it doesn't have the edge retention. It's not as hard. So it's a crapshoot. I don't know. It's a hard decision. If it's going to be anything like the performance of the Practical XL, then I would say keep it the same.
I think it will surpass.
Okay, then I would say
if I was putting cold hard cash down, I think this was going because Frenchie and I talked about it pretty intently that it has to either equal the performance and quality, or it's got to. My preference is to surpass it. And I want the Dragon King version to surpass it. Now we're not replicating it. We are refining what has already been done.
Yeah.
We're not trying to knock off Hanwei. It's a suit.
But as long as you still have that wide
blade geometries will be very, very similar.
Good.
But they will be refined geometries.
Okay. So the overall overwhelming is, I think, it looks like DH. It looks like
differentially hardened.
Yeah,
DH
XL.
And that was kind of the thing with talking about Dragon King. The seasonal katanas that we just rolled out with spring and the autumn, which people had been asking for years, when you're going to do a differentially hardened blade, and we finally rolled that out this year. So that's just us trying to respond to the market and what they're wanting.
I just cut with that, guys. This is the autumn leaf, the new forged one. I'm finishing up editing on this. I just cut with it. Did a really good job. And it's a great cutting sword, big 12-inch freaking suka. It's nice. Very, very nice.
Yeah, it's definitely one of my favorites. Now, I will say that one of the things you may notice, and some people may care, some people may not, that's a black saya opposed to the other one, which is a dark brown.
Yes.
And that's lacquered, and that's not, the other one is a textured.
Yes.
So,
that's the first one.
Yeah. So, I'm anxious to see your video on that.
Yeah, hopefully I'll get it done soon, and I'll post it by tomorrow at some point in the day. I'll get that posted. I put a lot of work into that one.
I did talk to Jeff in the warehouse about the Citadel problem you were talking about?
Yes.
I think that was just an issue with yours because I did ask him about that.
Okay.
I
So
think yours.
you don't think it's going to be part of the line?
No, I don't. No, I think they're going to be in there. I don't think you were having issues getting them through, right?
Yeah, because the shitterdomays were attached to the corrugator knob, and you couldn't get through the hole. The hole was too tight.
Yeah,
It was too tight. Couldn't get it in the hole.
Yeah, he said there is a trick to it. So, I was out there. I don't know, probably a good 20 minutes looking it over. So I think it'll be okay.
Okay. All right.
Sorry, folks. Kind of an inside conversation.
It is. Well, you'll see. I mentioned it on the video, so if you have any questions, we'll address it again.
Yeah, we're well aware of what happened, and we don't think it's going to be a problem.
Okay.
I do need to talk to them about maybe tweaking the Sageo a little bit.
All right, I'm going to add that to the video.
Changing the Shitadome, which is
I'm glad you told me that.
We have to explain is the little ornate piece in the curicata on the saya.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
changing them up or making be able to pass by easily. I'm going to add that to the video. I'm glad that you actually mentioned that. I'll add that as text into the video or something like that.
Yeah, it's something we're aware of. And
okay.
I don't think it's, I look at it like this. When we talk about Sageo, which is the wrap around the saya, to me, I equate it to shoelaces. When you get when you go buy your shoes at the store, are they laced? Are they tied? You can change them if you want. If you don't like them, you can always get new shoelaces. It's the same thing with Sageo. If you don't like your Sageo, you can always change it. It's not attached. It's not permanent.
Yeah. But this is a nice quality one. See, the thing is, it was hard to get this one through because this is not shoelace material. This is a nice quality one. So that's why it was tough to get in here with the shitterdomays in there. And that's why I had to pop them out in order to get it through there. I actually made a little mark on my saya from trying to use tools to get it through there, but buff
that out, dude.
Yeah, I'm going to buff it out. I'm going to do something.
Can't make them happy, can I, Scab?
Yeah.
Never.
What do you got there, Scab? What kind of freaking beast do you have in your chest?
Actually, I was going to ask Patrick, this is a Hanwei axe.
X8 2099N.
Is that what it was gifted to me by Backyard Knife Dude, Backyard Samurai? I adore this thing, but I can't find another one so I don't swing it. You know what I'm saying?
I've got plenty.
Well, okay, so they still make them. I love the way.
I'll be honest with you though. That one looks like I would hold on to that one. Let me send you a different one to swing.
What's the model? How many look it up? What is it?
X8 2099N.
There's not a lot of stuff that I'm hesitant with, but Ken's a great guy, and it's like this was literally the first gifted thing that I got by the first dude who ever gave me a shout out.
Yeah.
And I've been, it's like one of those I love, and it's pumpkin season. I walk back here and pick this thing up 100, and I'll make it to the door. I'm like, nah, and I'll go put it right back. I adore them, but they still do make these.
Yeah, we still make them. XH 2099N.
Well, here's the thing with this: the handle.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But you can't. Yeah. The thing with it, Joe, is like in hand. See, look here. Hold on. I'll show you a comparison.
Paul Chen, Danish axe. 6 pounds. It's got some weight to it too. Over 6 pounds.
Yeah. Pop me up real quick, Joe.
Yeah. Let me bring you on solo. Hold on. Solo. There you go.
All right. So cold steel, which everybody knows I love, right? Now I cut mine, I modified it. But look at the difference in the handle. Like this is I feel like the Hanwei is a real deal handle.
Yeah.
Like the one on the cold steel straight. And there's nothing wrong with it. I beat the absolute dog shit out of this thing. I love it. But when you get to the Hanwei, When you get to this one, it's 6 pounds. But look, I mean, look, there's just a massive difference. It's more of a handle. It's not just a broomstick. And I think that's why I like this one so much. There's a curvature to it.
I really like that one. That's a
really?
handsome looking piece, man.
I remember
Now-
when those first came out, and if memory serves, there was quite a bit of discussion on that, as far as the shaft dimensions and things like that. There was a lot of conversation, if I remember correctly. It's been a while. You got to remember, this was when all that stuff was being developed. We're talking about the early 2000s. You know, that right there, that's my favorite.
That's badass. I'm in love.
You need to have a hooded cape to carry that one around.
Dude, I love that. Patrick, one last question on this Hanwei.
Mm-hmm.
Is this friction fit?
I'd have to see it, but I think so. There should be a pin through it, though.
There is, and I think Ken actually put a wedge in it as well.
Yeah, it should be. I haven't seen one of those in a while, but you know, in a warehouse full of stuff, you know, I don't get to.
Yeah.
I don't always get to see it. But.
That thing's dope, man. That's the problem. If I worked in that warehouse, I'd never work. I would just swing shit all day long.
He would be in the product testing department all day long. Product testing. Scab, could you please leave the product testing department, please? Scab is in the product testing department again.
I will say, after a while, you do get used to it. But it was funny today. There was a guy that came up to the door, and I don't think about it. So you know, we just kind of keep it as a standard practice. We keep our front door locked. But you know, I'm walking up to the door. I've got a sword on my shoulder. And I open and unlock the door, and the guy doesn't realize I got it. I swing open the door, and he's like, "Hey, what can I help you with?" And he's like, "Oh, you know." It's like, "What? You know, we're a sword company." You know, thought I was gonna take him out or something.
You should have just mess with him. So, is that a Frenchie axe?
Yeah, that's a throwing axe, I believe.
Yeah,
that was the initial design. One of the axes I would love for us to bring back, and I think there is some discussion on it, is bringing back the Sutton Hoo the Maimon axe.
Yeah,
and if you know Hanwei, you know the Maimon axe. But that is one of my favorites of all the short axes, single hand axe, whatever you want to call it. That's my favorite because it's just the picture doesn't do it justice. The just how it just tapers in. I mean, it's just gorgeous.
Well, this axe here that's up on the screen. What a lot of people don't realize is before there were stirrups on horses and things, this was a common weapon of a knight where they would charge the line, throw the axe, and wheel away. It wasn't now I'm sure they'd ride up and whack you with it, but they would carry 3 and 4 of these on them.
Yeah.
And they would be devastating, thrown in waves.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great piece. You know, we haven't really developed any axes in a while. We've not really needed to because, well, these have kind of met the market needs, but you know, I don't know where we would go, you know, if we developed anything else. But
I can create a market for you. Give me about
a month. Good.
Yeah,
I have no doubts.
Well, you know what they say: if you build them, they will come. A lot of people love axes. I would love to get into axes. I need to get into axes. It's just that, you know,
badass.
I need some axes. I got to stop batoning too much. I baton too much. I need some axes.
One of the biggest things on
all the time.
One thing that people keep asking us about for APOC is they like the current axes, but they want them bigger.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at, we got some bigger designs, prototypes, but we haven't pulled the trigger on any of it yet. So you might see some bigger APOC axes next year, maybe. I don't know yet.
See,
I'm
I
undecided.
like this. I like this Gladius design from APOC. I like that swell here in the blade. I
Yeah.
like it a lot. I wish that Legacy would basically see this. This is what I would say is a redo, a modern version of the Gladius that APOC. APOC has some great ideas as far as how they produce them. So I wish that Legacy Arms would basically take maybe a piece like this and revamp it to like another weapon. You know, an actual weapon from that Legacy Arms type of quality.
Yeah.
You know. But
Yeah,
keep the
Legacy
same type
Arms
of thing.
Legacy Arms is pretty wide open and for what we can do in there. Like I said, we're not restricted in the historical sense as something like Kingston Arms, which is, you know, more for aficionados, more refined. But you know, we can get a little crazy in Legacy Arms, get a little fanciful if we wanted. But there are historical versions that is based off. That's that wasp design that you saw later in history, whereas the more straight blade is an older version, if memory serves. I'm getting too old to remember all this stuff, but
yeah, I know. Excellent. All right, Patrick, we've been up for, believe it or not, almost an hour and a half, and the time kind of really flew by.
Well, I try to be somewhat entertaining.
This has been great. This was a lot of fun. I love the pieces, man. I love just the concepts that you guys have. You know what's great about Cas Iberia, guys? You could go to this one website and you can get so much information on so many different brands. There's so many brands that they offer. So like I said, if you want an axe, there's axes. If you want knives, I was showing you guys a lot of knives from Citadel. Citadel has some really handsome looking knives, man. And they're actually not that bad in terms of the price point compared to their swords. Then you got your fantasy weapons in the APOC. You got your European stuff, and obviously you got your tons of katana, you know, all over the place. So that's kind of cool. But very exciting.
Do you care if I talk about Citadel for a minute?
Citadel? Go ahead. Go for it. Go for it, please.
Well, one thing you got to remember about Citadel,
it's
100% handmade.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no tooling. I mean, these guys are basically doing all this stuff by hand. One of the questions we get a lot is, because right now there's not been a lot of, if you look at our website, we're out of stock of quite a bit of stuff. Cambodia changed their exportation laws, and we haven't gotten a shipment in a while because they have to go through a whole new export process. So we get quite a bit of emails about saying, when is this going to be in stock? When's that going to be in stock? Well, there's a shipment that's been sitting over in Cambodia to come to us for like over a month that we're still waiting on their governments for them to say it's okay to ship.
Right.
So if you're having to wait on a Citadel product, it has nothing to do with their ability to make. They're still cranking them out. The problem is it's their government is taking forever to, let these things get out of the country for whatever reason. So, but all that stuff that you're seeing right there on that Suba, somebody carves that out by hand.
Scab, this is literally, in terms of this piece, this collar on the blade, this habaki, the way it's kind of molded to the blade, you don't find this anywhere. This is a piece of art. This is something that somebody labors to do. This is all handmade copper, shaped, molded. That seppa, this piece here, this is absolutely gorgeous. Gorgeous.
Yeah, if you don't follow them on Instagram, you should, because they show a lot of times. They show photos of these guys, carving out a lot of these swords and things like that. And I'm just privileged to be able just to get to photograph them.
Yeah,
for sure.
These are beautiful. I mean,
the wolf, I would say, is probably my crowning achievement this year.
The wolf?
Yeah, the wolf.
No,
that one I had quite a bit of input on, and the Suba design was they had, and I just fell in love with it the moment I saw it. And the original prototype had different Manuki on it, and we dropped back and punted, and we wanted the full moon and the crescent moon. If you can't understand what's going on there, that's a cloud and a moon motif, and on the other side it's a full moon. So don't know if you got the. I try to get both sides.
I don't know if we have both sides.
Yeah, I'll have to go. I have to go look. I know I got more photos than I can put on the website, so I may have to. Plop some out on social media.
Eric, I know that's the one you want, Eric. I know this is. I mean, it's like a suede type of leather. Look at those large nodules on the race skin. Look at that knot. Look at the two-tone freaking shitadomes here. It's gorgeous. I mean, this is just where Scab. Like whenever you see my channel and I talk about, oh well, they should have done it like this, or it could have been done better, or I've seen it done better. I'm always I'm projecting towards companies like Citadel, like Evolution Blades, these companies that just get it right. They do it right. And that's basically, this is the epitome of what a handle should look like. A suka this is the way a wrap should be. This is the way the diamond should be. This is basically what we cater to. Look at the transitions. I mean, the habaki, just basically with the groove of the fuller. You don't find that. You don't find that anywhere. You just don't. Yeah, I'm going to stop drooling.
To me, this is the pinnacle of handmade.
Yes, that is the pinnacle of handmade.
Yeah, and they cut like nothing. And I'll be honest with you, Joe. I've tried to get Krista to let me send one out for you to just test drive, but she's like, "Oh, maybe when we have a few more on hand." I just want you to know I am advocating for you to get one to test drive.
I appreciate it. I know you are, because I bug you about it all the time. So, Scab, think about what is the best made knife in the world? Would you say Randall's pretty much on that pinnacle?
Man, it's so subjective. It
is subjective.
It will be tough. I'll tell you this: the first picture you showed, and I don't know all the terms, but I believe it was brass. Was it brass?
The copper.
Was it copper? Yeah. It actually reminded me. Go back to the very first picture you showed.
Oh, that was the other katana, the dragon.
Oh, the dragon one.
Yeah, but that's right. When I was right there, that looks like the sun. I mean, that's the first thing I thought of, and the way it's set in there and the way it's done, it's just gorgeous. You can see the difference. You can absolutely see, even in a picture, you can see the difference.
You can see it without even having it in person. You could just see it. And it's wild, man. I've never seen the inside of it though. I've never seen it. Do they put a lot of work into the Nakago?
As far as I know, I mean they come to us disassembled. Okay. And we have to assemble them.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, we have to put them together when we get them.
Yeah. So the answer is in about what? So if people are waiting for those to be these Citadels to be in stock, what's the answer now? Another by next month?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
well, you don't know yet.
If you don't have one on back order, you're not going to get it.
Got it.
I mean, this is just one of those. This is one of those situations where if you don't have it on back order with one of our customers, you are not going to get it.
Right. Okay.
And I hate to be that way, and it's just they can only produce so many. I mean, these are 100% handmade.
Yeah,
there's only so many that they can produce, and
every piece that you see there, guys, they're not coming from a third party. They're literally hand engraving the Suba, the Habaki. They're making everything completely by hand, strictly, basically like they make Nihantos in Japan. The real masters that are left, they're pretty much. Would you say they're pretty much along the same lines as far as how they're making their swords, right?
I would agree, but I'm sure that the Japanese guys would probably.
But generally speaking, you can never call it a Nihanto or a Japanese sword because it's not made in Japan. But that's a whole other topic of conversation altogether, which is a fun conversation. But we could have that one day. But they're making along the same lines of that handmade type of weapon. But listen, we love Citadel. It's a dream sword. That's definitely what it is. It's a grail sword. It's a grail sword.
Yeah, I mean, I think the stuff that Ron Chin's doing is excellent as well. He's making them in Taiwan,
right?
And he has trained in Japan from the masters as well.
Yeah.
So, and we're gonna Bugay will be rolling out some more Ron Chin swords.
That's
later. Hopefully, I'm hoping we get them before the end of the year, but if not, it'll be after the first of the year.
That should be fun. But listen, and I'm sure Scab was going to mention to you as well. If you have anything rolling out, anything that's exciting, that's going to be premiering, let us know.
Oh, I got some stuff specifically for you, and I got some stuff specifically for Scab that I'm, like I said, I'm watching the clock. But after tonight, I've got a couple of things I might just send on down to Scab from tonight's discussion.
I won't turn them down. You believe that? I said, won't turn them down. I won't turn them down.
No, I understand. No, I try to send you stuff that's interesting. I mean, I could. People ask us all the time for stuff, and I'm like, it's like, I want to send you stuff that, when you get it, it's like, I'm sure when Joe opened up that Excalibur sword, he's thinking, what the hell did he send me? I want it to be something interesting. I don't, I could send you anything, in our line, but I want to send you something that is that's going to be a challenge or something to get you outside your wheel box or expand your borders. So
I was telling Joe, people do that to me all the time. But I'll tell you the truth, Patrick. Last time we had you on, this time we had you on, I worry a little bit because you fill a different niche, right? And then when we have you on, an hour and a half goes by and it's like, I could do this all night. I haven't said much, but this what you showed, everything you showed, I'm literally sitting here going, I want that. I want that. Yeah. I don't do that a lot. I really don't. But I find it fascinating. And Joe's going to delve more into the European swords. One of the things I like doing about this with katana or wakizashi or the tanto, I don't get a lot of exposure to that. So I enjoy that. I like hearing about the nuances of each one. So I'm glad you come on. I'd like for you to come on again relatively quickly.
Well, what I would like for us to do, and I know this year wasn't an option, but next year I'd like for us to actually set a time apart at Blade Show.
Yeah,
or before or after, and do some one-on-one stuff, because next year I'm hoping to have some. I'm putting my product development hat on. I'm hoping to have some exciting things for both of you. I know y'all kind of both have your strengths and your weaknesses, and I try to accommodate you both in areas like some of our other YouTube fans. But I'd like for us to do some one-on-one, before, after, during the show, where we just kind of get off to ourselves on the side somewhere and really kind of do this face to face, because there's so much that we could talk about, and there's things that I want to communicate to the market that they need to know, because I think an educated buyer purchases better.
Yes.
Right. And there's a lot of products that we make, that aren't really for everybody. And it's probably saying, when you're not a very good salesman if you're trying not to sell me something. But there are some things that we do make, I think, that work for most people. If you knew what you were buying. But I don't know if that makes any sense or not. But,
no, it makes 100%.
100%. And the truth is, we could go 1,000. I was watching as you were talking earlier, and Joe was going through some of the knives. We could go through 1,000 different, and we'll definitely, because we'll be at Blade Show this year, so we'll do that for sure. I'd love to do that.
I'd love for y'all to come to the building and actually get to look at the rows of 30 years worth. Actually, next year we're celebrating 40 years.
Now, how far are you from Atlanta? How far are you
just
from?
2.5 hours north.
We might have to, Joe, that might be an added day or something. We might need to do that.
Well, that's if I was driving, then that's probably what I would do.
Yeah.
If I was driving, it'll be easy to drive there and then drive to Atlanta.
Well, son, all you got to do is fly there, and you can get in my car. We'll drive.
We'll talk about it. I think we got to plan that out.
So you got an invitation.
Okay.
Well,
you got an invitation to come. So if you don't come, it's on you.
Okay.
Well, when we show up, don't look surprised.
Well, just make sure I know that you're coming, because Blade Show is a hectic time. Because I've got to go get the van for all the stuff that we haul down there. So we need to figure out before or after.
That's
We'll
definitely
get
going
it
to be
done.
fun. Looking forward to it. And listen, and what I was meaning before too, if there's a show that you want to do, if there's something you want to get out there before Blade Show, let me know, obviously, and then we'll schedule another Blade Talk, and we'll get some more info out there.
Yeah.
Well, certainly, like I said, I got some stuff that's in development. I
Yeah.
got 2 different projects, some stuff specifically for Scab, and I got a couple of things for you for sure. Something both of you can, a couple of things in between that you both can take a swing at, no pun intended. But now, I always enjoy doing this, and I'm privileged to be able to know you both, and
You as well, Patrick.
I
You as
allow
well.
y'all allow me to be on here and talk about what we do, and I appreciate it. And I know everybody at Cas appreciates it because people come at us, and they don't understand why we do what we do, and I try to do my best to explain it. We represent a lot of brands. We represent a lot of people. It's not just us at Cas, but it's the guys at the Hanwei factory. It's the guys
Around
at the
the world.
Dragon factory.
Around the world.
The guys at Citadel. We represent just a lot of people, and we always want to do a great job representing not only the products but the brands and the people that make these products, because they deserve our respect, because they do a very difficult job trying to please a lot of people.
Right. Very well said.
I appreciate y'all giving me a platform to be able to make our case for all these people, because it is their livelihood just as much as mine.
Yeah.
Well, you're welcome here anytime.
Platform is always yours, Patrick. And like I said, the link that I gave you is a infinite link. That's going to be the same. That's going to be our link to go on Blade Talk whenever we do it.
Okay.
It's a Cas Iberia studio link. Okay. Excellent. All right, Patrick. Thank you again. Appreciate it so much. Thanks for spending the time. We'll definitely do this again before Blade Show. Hopefully, maybe once or twice. We'll see.
For sure.
And we got a lot of plans in the works, I guess, for some things coming up. Everyone that's in the chat, I appreciate you guys being here. And if you're catching this, guys, if you guys are catching this on the replay, which I'm sure a lot of you will, please leave comments, leave questions if you have any, and we'll try to address them. We'll get them over to Patrick, and we'll bombard him with some more stuff to do. Not like he's busy enough, but I appreciate you guys being here. Thanks everybody for being in the room. Patrick, thank you. Scab, thank you. Scab, anything else?
No, man. Hey, just thank you to everybody who makes this possible, man. We appreciate it. We really do.
Yeah.
This is fun.
Definitely a lot of fun. All right, Patrick, stay in the room. Guys, have a good night. We'll see you on the next Blade Talk coming up. We got some exciting guests coming up. As you know, some you don't. We'll announce them as we go along, but looking forward to next Blade Talk. Have a good one, everybody. Ciao, ciao. Have a good night.